Grand Rising. Good evening. How is everyone doing? I wasn't sure if I was going to have to cancel my live, but I decided to stop at a park on my way to my destination to go ahead and do this live. I know no one's on here yet, but I think people are going to be logging on in a little bit. I do have good update for you guys today regarding the med beds, as well as some of the stuff that's been happening regarding the alliance between the government and, of course, the U.S. government. So, if you guys could bear with me, I know I didn't think it was going to go live. A beautiful park to actually, go live and continue the intel that I was about to deliver today on this very day. So today is April the 21st, 2025. We are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. I think you guys could see me, right? Cool. Yeah, I decided to stop at a park, guys, because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to my destination on time. So I decided to just go there. And I am using my phone's hotspot as to why I'm getting internet service. So here I am going live from the great outdoors. From the great outdoors. I hope you guys are enjoying your beautiful evening. First and foremost, the Caesars, we could say Rome has fallen with the death of Pope Francis. And this event was actually predicted upon by Father Malachi hundreds and hundreds of years ago when Pope Innocent III asked him to give him a breakthrough as to when the final Pope was going to come about. And so, according to Father Malachi, who was, I guess, the priest within the Catholic Church, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, who had the gift of prophecy, was able to foretell, when the last pope was going to actually happen. And apparently, he did say that it was going to be an Argentinian pope. He said he was going to be of Latin descent, and that he was going to be Francis. Okay, so this event that took place was actually predicted. Now, I'm starting to believe that the meeting that took place between Pope Francis and J.D. Vance, a day before his death or 2 days before his death, was had a lot to do with that. So perhaps this is a white hat operation, guys. Perhaps this is a white hat operation. For those who don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm the author of two amazing books. One of them is called The Secret Government, Invincible Architects, Revealing the True History of the Earth. And the other one is called Our Cosmic Origin, Restoring Galactic Information and Knowledge Back to the Earth. Again, guys, I deleted the live thinking that I wasn't going to be able to, do the live, but I decided to stop and give you guys a view of the great outdoors while using my phone's hotspot. So that's why I'm doing the live after all. Any updates? Really quick, guys, for those that are ordering the Folium product, the link is always in the description. I always put the link before and after the live. There's several products. There is a Folium PX, which is what detoxes your body from metals and radiation, allowing the natural healing process to take place in your body. And then there's also a Folium Immune, which is the ultimate defense against any viruses, any bacteria, anything. Okay, so that's like to fortify your immune system. And then the other one, there's a third one, and I think that's called Folium. I forget the name of that, but apparently there are three different types of Foliums that are actually working together to allow the body to reach an optimal level of health. All right, so anything else? Any other announcements? No, I think I'm good. Okay, so I think we could get right into it. So let's start with the rolling out of the Medbeds and how the white hats were actually, had been instrumental in the recuperation of such advanced modalities. So we could say that the military alliance has just confirmed what the world was never supposed to know. And that is that on April 16, 2025, a new phase of classified information was leaked deliberately by high-ranking patriots within the U.S. military alliance loyal to Mr. T. Okay, so the message was clear, apparently clear and unmistakable. was very clear and unmistakable. The med beds are real. All right, for those that are doubting, this technology was given to the Earth Alliance by the Galactics themselves in the late 1960s when we started developing the positive secret space program known as Solar Warden. So the deployment is already underway, and only those spiritually and neurologically prepared will be allowed to operate or receive their full benefits. Okay. Mr. T is behind this entire operation. Again, the Mr. T that is working from Cheyenne Mountain. So long before his official return on January 20th, 2025, Mr. T has been orchestrating the takedown of the deep state's medical tyranny. So through secret executive orders, covert military programs, and his alliance with non-terrestrials. By the way, did you guys know that the real Mr. T that is working within Cheyenne Mountain is actually part, or is at least aware and acknowledged, or let's just say he's part of the positive SSP. He knows of Solar Warden. He knows of the Galactics. He knows Valiant Thor. All right, let's just say that. Okay, so through secret executive orders, covert military programs, and his alliances with non-terrestrials, those of the Galactic Alliance, and other Earth factions, including the Inner Earth Societies, Mr. T is preparing for the greatest act of healing in human history. The Medbeds are actually locked right now, as I speak, in underground facilities, hoarded by elites and hidden behind black budget walls. So, but since Trump's return to power, a coordinated series of raids, executive under the full jurisdiction of the Insurrection Act, have seized these locations. The devices have been reclaimed. The technology is now in the hands of the patriots. That is very good news, okay? For many years, unfortunately, this technology was being used by the cabal, but it's now in the hands of the patriots. And to be quite frank, I do want to make a correction. This technology was first given to the cabal, the military industrial complex, in the late 1950s by the Naboo, also known as the Greys, okay? In exchange, of course, in exchange of human and cattle abductions. That's what the Greys were. That's the pact that they made with the Greys. Okay, the Greys gave them advanced technologies, but with the stipulation of allowing the Greys to not only abduct animals but also begin the abduction of humans. But they were limited, and of course they broke that limit. But that's a different story. Let's continue with the subject here. So one thing that you guys need to understand about the Medbed technology, that this actually is synonymous, not synonymous, but it's actually you could say congruent to the a concept that the Alliance calls Brainwave mastery, which is a new frontier in healing in addition to the Medbeds. And I will explain that shortly as well. So what the deep state does not want you to know is this, that Medbeds don't function like machines. First and foremost, they're not like your typical technologies, right, that we have come to know, like MR and what is it called? The scanning technologies. I think it's called a KG or something. I can't even think of some of these technologies that are very primitive compared to the Medbeds, but let me continue. So they function like mirrors of consciousness. We're talking about the Medbeds here. They read your energy, right? That's why it's important to be in a high vibration, high frequency. And they also, believe it or not, guys, they also read your brainwave patterns, okay? So this is why it's important to understand that with the rolling out of Medbed technology, we have to understand a new frontier of healing known as brainwave mastery. And I will explain that in a little bit. So your mind is still, believe it or not, for the most part, not your mind, but for the most part, the mind of the average person is still under programming, right? Is still under control to some extent, still locked into some sort of a fear, some sort of doubt and ego. So obviously for people that are entertaining these things, it's going to be very hard for them to get healed through the Medbeds, because the Medbeds work with the brainwave patterns, okay? They resonate with positive energy. So, and this explains why only the good people are going to be healed, okay? So if you don't synchronize, in other words, with the Medbed device, you will be blocked from the full healing process. That's what I'm trying to say. So the Medbeds require coherence. They require conscious alignment. And this is where brainwave control becomes life or death, All right. The military did leak this information in the last couple of days. The first requirement before touching a medbed is brainwave mastery. Okay. Are you guys familiar with the different states of consciousness? The alpha level, which is the state of consciousness that I guess I would say that not everyone's at, but that's the ideal state of consciousness where you need to be, as well as theta and as well as delta. All right. We don't want to be in what is known as beta. Beta is where the majority of human consciousness is, and that's where it's very programmable. That it's where you are constantly being influenced by the stuff that comes from the television sets, from the negative frequencies coming from the towers, which is a form of brain or mind control. Okay, so unless you are operating within an alpha, delta, I'm sorry, Dave, theta or delta, or even gamma, which is super consciousness, it's going to be very impossible for you to receive a healing when these med beds roll out. Okay, so apparently these higher states of consciousness must be fully understood and controllable by the operator and the patient. Okay, this is not new age stuff. This is neuroquantum reality. So your frequency, apparently, when it comes to the medbed technology, believe it or not, guys, your frequency is your passport. Okay, and I'll repeat that again. When it comes to the medbed technology, your frequency is your passport. Okay, so let's continue here. So the med beds are real, right? Apparently, you know, they're very, very real for those that are doubting their existence. Um, and so, when it comes to this, when it comes to the med beds, again, there has to be some sort of a mental coherence here. It's a requirement of a conscious alignment. Okay, and this is where brainwave control becomes life or death. The military leaked, confirmed it, right, that the first requirement before touching a medbed is brainwave mastery. Okay, I've already mentioned that. This is known as neuroquantum reality, where your frequency is going to act as a passport when it comes to these healing modalities. So, training programs are also being rolled out in, you could say, in sync. What's the word? In conjunction to the rolling out of the bed beds, where they're already going to be live for select individuals, right? Where there won't. The best way to say is these were not launched by universities or health departments. Let's just be real, guys. Okay, they were quietly built by the Earth Alliance. Okay, these healing modalities that are going to get people's brain waves in the right resonance. They are now being activated under military supervision, and all sessions are monitored by a quantum living intelligence, which is what I've been talking about, a living intelligence. And by the way, I do want to make a correction that this quantum living intelligence that was infused with Prime Creator Source is not an artificial AI. And this is what many in the cosmic community have been calling the positive AI. All right. But it's a living quantum intelligence. All right. It's an organic intelligence with emotions. And again, it's an infusion of source consciousness. And if you didn't watch my last live, I completely talked about the origin of this natural living quantum technology that the Y-Hats have apparently been using in conjunction with all of these healing modalities. So, all sessions are monitored by the quantum, you could say, living intelligence that are being overseen by military spiritual divisions. And I'm talking about the White Hat military at this point. I'm sure you guys already know that. These are the same living intelligence systems, which many erroneously, classify as positive AI, that were actually used to track mass consciousness spikes during the global lockdowns. And guess what? They've actually, believe it or not, everything's being monitored by this living quantum technology. So they're scanning who's ready, right, based on your frequency, who's ready to be qualified for these med beds. They're also scanning to see who is aware, and apparently all of you are, right, because you guys are awakened, and who's too deeply enslaved by the system to be trusted near this tech. Okay, so apparently there's going to be some discernment here when they roll out the bed beds. Not everyone's going to have access to them, but the awakened people that are of high vibration will have access to them. So there is going to be some sort of a training structure to all of this. And it's already happening behind closed doors. The Earth Alliance curriculum is actually no longer a secret. It was actually leaked alongside the Medbed confirmation. The structure follows an A to E as in Edward, an A to E class system developed in coordination with both military insiders and ancient spiritual orders. We're talking about the Melchizedek Brotherhood and Sisterhood, or the ancient orders of light, that, by the way, have always existed if you read The Secret Government. So apparently this thing is being coordinated and developed by not only military insiders, ancient spiritual orders, right, that are still around, the Council of Wizards, I've already talked about that, and were once classified, of course, under Vatican Black Archives, okay? And the first one is known as Class C. So Class C is when you are stripped of the illusion, okay? And this is mainly pertaining to what we would consider the normies, or those that are still heavily programmed. So you'll learn how your brain has been programmed when it comes to this Class A, right? Due to this other technology that is going to be rolled out in conjunctions with the Medbeds, how social media algorithms have influenced your brain of thinking, right? Your train of thought. Fluoridated water. Of course, you guys all know that they are completely numbing our pineal gland, which is the seat of the soul, our connection to our higher self and God. And also the dangers and the impact that, the negative impact that 5G signals were used to, in weaponizing them against humanity. So that is known as Class C. Okay, so this is mainly pertaining to those that are unawakened. Okay, so they will undergo what is known as a reactivation through Class C. Now, for Class B, when it comes to Class B, here is when people are going to be unlocking their divine senses. Okay, telepathy is going to come back online, intuition, right? By clearing all of that stuff, your pineal gland will once again be activated, right? You'll be able to do these natural things that have always been kind of part of our nature when you really think about it. You will begin to feel again, all right? A lot of people that are not awakened are very, very numb, right? They don't know how to think or feel for themselves. You will start to remember, right? For those that have memory issues due to blank slate technology, it happens. You will remember who you were before this incarnation in this flesh, which is lovely because a lot of you don't remember who you were and where you came from. And most importantly, you will understand who you are before the system taught you to forget your origin. So during Class C, okay, this is the war room, okay? During Class C, this is the war room where you will learn energetic warfare, how to manipulate chi, right? It's everywhere. Everything's energy. How to move auric fields, how to clear trauma codes, and how to reset energetic fields, okay? This is where many break. Many people are going to be breaking through Class C that, again, have not done the spiritual work and have not yet, you could say, snapped out of their programming. So only the strong will pass through what is known as Class C, okay? Now, Class D is field training, and this is where you will work with real medbeds, engaged in live operations, and interface with patients under supervision. The technology responds to your coherence, right? If your brain waves fluctuate, the machine will shut down, okay? You will no longer, you're no longer playing with theory. This is high stake healing, okay? And then now, for those that are going to be undergoing with Class C, or that are going to be part of Class E, not C, I'm sorry, E, we're already passing D. Class E is next. This is going to be reserved for commanders of consciousness. And a lot of this has to do with a lot of the star seeds out there who are still functional commanders, right? We're operating different avatars. I've been saying this for quite some time. So this Class C is going to be for the starseed people, for those that are awakened, reserved for commanders of consciousness, right? People who have learned a mastery over their emotions and their thoughts. You will learn interdimensional healing through Class E. And yes, you will come to understand that dimensions do exist and that you are multidimensional. And they are, of course, all inhabited by different versions of you, right? and they are part of the healing process. All right, all these other aspects of yourself, right, as we undergo the ascension, it's really the multidimensional integration, right? Collapsing all these different fragments of consciousness, operating different avatars back into oneness, all right? Allowing us for what? For full consciousness, which is activation. You will be taught how to navigate astral corridors, bring back healing energy, and direct it through the Medbed interface, which is, again, part of a natural quantum living, uh, you could say, consciousness, right? This class is in by invitation only, and it comes with an oath to serve in the Earth Alliance leadership operations. So many of you guys that want to be part of the Earth Alliance are going to undergo through Class E. Okay, again, Class E is reserved based on your frequency, right? Those that are doing the spiritual work are going to be approached to be part and serve within the leadership and operations of the Earth Alliance. This is once all this stuff is rolled out. So apparently the power's coming back to the Earth, right? Used to rule the Earth. Puppets are no longer going to be in power, all right? The rolling out, and it's tied into what is known as GESERA, right? The Global Economic Security and Restabilization Act, also known as the Global Economic, I think it's the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. I guess those are the two ways of describing GESERA. Not the watered down version they feed you on alternative channels, but the full scale energetic reset of humanity's soul contracts. So you are not learning to heal bodies, you are learning to free souls, right? You're being positioned to restore Earth's divine timeline and ultimately to be the caretakers of the earth as we go into this new age, okay, or this new world, this new age of Aquarius, the golden age. Um, so, spiritual counselors, right? The awakened, those that are part of the Starseed Envoy programs, when we do activate, guys, due to the abilities that we're going to be possessing, we are going to be, in a way, in charge. The guardians of this new earth. And the Earth Alliance is well aware of that, okay? The Earth Alliance is very well aware of that. So it's not going to be the billionaires anymore. It's not going to be a caste system where it's just, a chosen few. It's going to be a council of the 144,000, which is not just 144,000 people, but millions of advanced souls that are now on the planet, incarnated through us, that are going to lead in the new earth as a result of all this stuff rolling out. Okay, guys? And I wouldn't be surprised if all this is happening because we are expecting, right, the great solar flash, especially with that huge sun spot, right? That huge spot. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. That is now facing the earth. Okay. So this is what the military leaked within the last couple of days. Excuse me, Medbed centers will be rolled out through strategic safe zones first, right? Locations already cleared by military tribunals. Rumors indicate Montana, Texas, and Tennessee are among the first. For those that live in Montana, Texas, and Tennessee, you will be the first to have access to the Medbeds. Access is, of course, restricted based on the residence of the individual. So only trained personnel, right, will be allowed within proximity. Security will be coordinated by Space Force operatives already working under Mr. T's Galactic Division. And again, the real Mr. T that is operating in Cheyenne Mountain is actually, believe it or not, guys, is actually working with the Galactic Alliance. All right, so he's been fully briefed, right, regarding these off-world programs, and he is very part of what is known as the positive SSP programs. Okay, and that explains why Space Force is actually you could say, the surface operation of Solar Warden, the interplanetary police force. Okay, so DNA scans and brainwave authentication will be frequency. There will be no amount of money or status. Those that are thinking that you're going to have to pay something to use them, that is not correct. Okay, so don't fall for those gimmicks. All right. Only you could say, the awakened are going to have access to this. The unawakened, right, will not will not be granted access to this, according to this document. So the final orders: prepare or be left behind, right, from the White Hat military. The military just did leak. The military leak didn't just reveal this program, it delivered a warning. So just take it seriously, right? They want us to take it seriously. They know that the earth is ascending, right? That we are entering a new era, that the time of the old guard, right, marked by the death of Pope Francis, right, which is the fallen Caesar, the fallen Roman Empire, the old guard, right? The war is not just physical. Bear in mind, it is a spiritual, and it has been a multidimensional war, a neurological war, and so on and so forth. So these medbeds are not just for the weak, right, the lazy or the corrupted. In fact, they are for those that have chosen to fight the battle within, to master their minds, to reclaim their spiritual sovereignty. And Mr. T has known about this, the real Mr. T, who is working with these non-terrestrials, right? And that's why he backed this operation, right? That's why he gave Space Force full authority over it. And that's why the military has began leaking these details now, because the time is up. You either prepare now or you don't enter the new world, all right? So it's no longer about not that you are going to have access for free, okay? And that was your higher self letting you know that you are definitely in alignment, all right? It's all based on resonance. Are you resonating with the consciousness of the living quantum system, right? That is about to be activated. That is the question. And that was the Earth Alliance marking us for duty, right? So they want us to know that we are actually healers in the training, right? As we heal ourselves and we become multidimensional and we reach full capacity, we are eventually going to go out to other worlds and begin the healing process for other sentient civilizations that are not yet healed. Okay, so April 16, 2025 is the day that this medbeds are obviously real. The military alliance leaked it. Mr. T is leading the initiative, right? Space Force is guarding the centers, and these centers are located throughout not only the United States, but apparently they are located throughout the entire globe. Okay, and I'm not going to mention exactly what countries have these, but bear in mind that it is going to be rolled out first in Tennessee, Montana, and of course Texas, and I also believe Florida. So these are very highly conservative states. All right, brainwave control is essential. Again, your frequency will determine your axis. Right, we're just recapping here for those who are just jumping on. I'm talking about the rolling out of the medbeds and the qualifications to even access the medbeds. So the training will be active from Class A to Class E, right? Class A is for the unawakened, right? For those that are still following the program. And then on the other side of the spectrum, Class E is for the awakened, those that are on the path of spirituality like us, okay? So yeah, Class A through Class C is very mandatory for spiritual counseling. And Gesera is going to be activated when they what I've been calling living quantum consciousness, right? And that's when the true healing will begin. Set, right? Not just on the physical, mental reset as well. Warriors of light, all of us, right, aligned with truth and coherence, will be trusted with this sacred technology. So this is not just going to be available to the doctors that are worthy of it, but to us guys. We're going to be trusted with this technology to use on our family and friends. Of course, if they are resonating with it, all right? So this is our calling. This is our time to rise. That's what they want us to know, to be fully cleansed and to be part of this training so that we could lead in this new, okay? So overall, this is all part of the Earth's healing and ascension, right? On April 14, 2025, Mr. T met with El Salvador. Now I'm going to change the subject regarding another piece of good information. He met with the president of El Salvador, President Nayib, let's see if I can pronounce his name, Nayib Bukele, in a high-level classified mission at the White House. A meeting intentionally missed media. Mission was to finalize the launch of Project Inferno, right? Project Inferno, which is a secret black site transfer protocol designed to purge America's most dangerous criminals, not just illegal immigrants, but America's born traitors, right? People that are aligned with the deep state, rogue intelligent agents, right? We're talking about the three-letter agency that starts with the C and their countercorps or the counterintelligence, right? Run by the neocons. We're talking about the elite traffickers. We're talking about globalist bankers, bioterrorists, and judicial operatives protecting the, P file networks. Okay, so according to sources tied to U.S. military tribunal, a little less than operational alliance between the reactive Gitmo command structure and what is now known as the CECOT, all right? Bukele's infamous mega prison in El Salvador. So apparently there is going to be another prison for the deep staters and the, drug lords and all of these bad people opening up in El Salvador. And that's what this meeting was all about, because apparently Gitmo is starting to get oversaturated, right? Let's just it's not found on any Salvadorian prison registry, and that's where these operations apparently take place. Okay, so Trump didn't come to negotiate; he came to deploy. Apparently, this is what they're going to be calling now Gitmo 2.0, but upgraded for globalist eradication. All right, yeah, we're talking about interplanetary, what is known as Nuremberg trials 2.0, of getting rid of even the robotic imposters. Okay, so who is being taken? That's the great question. Well, this operation has nothing to do with deporting common criminals. It's about detaining and eliminating U.S. elites who have committed crimes against humanity under the protection of corrupt American courts. We're talking about former CIA operatives who ran black ops in Ukraine, Libya, and Syria, laundering billions in weapons and drugs. Okay. Also, federal judges who rubber stamped human transferring, right, starts with the T, traf, plea deals in covert child abuse rings tied to Capitol Hill. In addition to that, pharmaceutical CEOs, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, directly responsible for the bio, you could say, that deployment disguised as C, what happened in 2019, part of the global depopulation blueprint. All of this. Also, media moguls are going to be going there, running PSYOP networks in coordination with foreign intelligence agencies, NGO executives, and church officials, facilitating organ harvesting and, of course, transferring operations masked as humanitarian aid. So they're not being prosecuted in the US because the courts are rigged, right? The judges are owned. We all knew that. And the law has been hijacked by the very criminals it's supposed to hold accountable. And that's why Mr. T needed this new facility in El Salvador called the CECOT's Underground Neutral Zone. Okay. These are off-grid detention chambers operating under military tribunal authority, immune from international interference, and hidden beneath the quantum surveillance layer of El Salvador's justice system. More on the CECOT, the globalist nightmare, right? The CECOT, which is the new Gitmo in El Salvador, is not just a prison. It is going to be a post-Nicera war bunker, right? We're talking about the second Nuremberg trials. So it was built with a dual purpose to house the worst of not only the MS-13 gangsters, which are now considered terrorists, but also what remains of the cabal deep staters, and also to serve as a model facility for the global takedown of human rights violators hiding in elite institutions. Inside this CECOT's classified sectors, military contractors and quantum engineers have built are, through an organic technology, a soul matching system, long neural these terrorists, and of course, people that are people, um, they're going to be, you can say there's going to be a quantum behavior overlay to predict behavioral or betrayal, sorry, to predict betrayal and decode during interrogation. They're also going to use sound frequency confession extractors, non invasive resonance based tech originally developed during Project Montauk, right, which was originally developed by the military industrial complex. It's not going to be used against them, right? Since a lot of this technology has now been recuperated by the White Hats. Refined for high level psychological breakdown. The Whites are also going to be using neutralizing chambers, soundproofed and magnetically sealed, where executive orders are carried out under full military secrecy. No more courts, no appeals, no leaks. So Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, isn't just cooperating. He's actually building the next phase of Earth's justice system outside of the clutches of NATO courts, UN diplomats, or World Economic Foreign surveillance. And Mr. T knows about this, and he's working, to make sure this happens. So he's deploying America's greatest enemies there. Mr. T is bypassing the corrupt Department of Justice and the FBI, which have long since become tools of the deep state. So the American exportation is active as of the 14th of April, which was a few days ago. Sources confirm that Trump presented the framework for the American exportation order, a legal override written under the 2023 Emergency Authority, reactivated under military law after his January 2025 reinstatement. And under this order, the U.S. military can seize individuals classified as non-civilian combatants against the constitutional republic. These individuals can be exported to foreign justice facilities under mutual anti-terrorism treaties that bypass the UN and the Geneva Convention. President of El Salvador, Bukele, has authorized joint operation inside El Salvador under a quantum security protocol integrating U.S. and Salvadorian forces with full kill switch authority. Okay, this is not just about diplomacy, guys. This is about military sanctioned takedown of globalist criminals on a scale that has never been seen before. And apparently, air traffic is suggesting that it's already happening. Okay, nighttime flight logs and satellite imagery show unauthorized landings near CECOT, which is the new Gitmo being built out in El Salvador, from non-commercial aircraft registered to shell companies based in Virginia and South Florida. Gitmo insiders confirm that the flights are not carrying weapons or supplies. They're actually rendering human assets. These assets, classified as HCIs, which stand for high clearance individuals, are believed to include a former Secretary of State involved in uranium trafficking, a pharmaceutical tycoon linked to, that stuff starts with an M, right? MODER, NUS, ends with an NAS, right? Program. And then, of course, a Vatican linked financier tied to the Little One laundering networks in South America. And these aren't just extraditions. These are classified captures, executed authority. All right, Crow, I understand. These are classified captures executed under the authority of the revived military emergency justice order signed by Mr. T on March 19, 2025. I'll repeat that again. These are classified captures executed under the authority or executed under the authority of the revived military emergency justice order signed by Mr. T on March the 19th, 2025. So apparently now the globalists are silent because they know not a word has been leaked from the UN or NATO or the WEF or any of those globalist organizations, right? Bukele, the president of El Salvador, called it a sacred obligation to humanity. Mr. T reportedly told him that these demons have been using our laws against us, right? Against the American people, against the good guys. And now we'll use military law against them permanently. That's good news. So Dan Scavino posted a photo that mainstream media ignored, a raw shot of Mr. T speaking with Bukele, again, the president of El Salvador, as a beam of light appeared over Mr. T's head in the Oval Office. This was not a coincidence. Moving towards international broadcast trials, of key deep state figures in El Salvador, streamed on encrypted QFS integrated networks, and these tribunals will reveal, are you guys ready for this? I'm sure you are, the names behind global little one slavery networks, right? The origins of the bio, right, that they weaponized and who paid for it, the classified communications between the US judges and the elite traffickers, the final legs trace human cargo through Western banks, and then when Mr. T and Haley shake hands, they didn't just form an alliance, right? There were